Well, introduce yourself and your character and how your character relates to the whole show, Hello, Dolly.
Great.
Bob Miller, Horace Van de Gelder, and I am the comic protagonist of this. That's a pretty good word.
Hi, Kira Lace Hawkins. I'm playing Dolly Levi. So I get to play the title character, I guess is what they call that.
Tell me a little bit about the show Hello, Dolly and why it's such a theater classic.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the golden age musicals. It was based off of a Thornton Wilder play that he wrote, I don't know, in the early 1900s, called The Matchmaker. And it's just such a beautiful musical lyrics by Jerry Herman, beautiful score, beautiful libretto. I think it's just one of those that everybody loves to come and see, even if they've seen it before, and hopes to see again in the future.
Every song is like a toe tapper.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not a toe tapper, it's one that gets you weepy because there's a few of those in there. But it's all recognizable music. It's songs that you've heard your whole life, and if you've never seen the show, you didn't know where they came from. Small kids are going to know from Wally, because it was a big thing in Wally, because he had the movie version of the musical, and that was half of the soundtrack for that show was put on your Sunday clothes.
Now, in the musical, Dolly's a matchmaker, correct?
Mm-hmm, that's true, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about her matchmaking skills and how...
Sure. Yeah, so in general, she has this whole song about how she puts her hand in here, she puts her hand in there. So she just likes to arrange anything. And it kind of goes beyond just relationships, but that's what the play tends to focus on. So yeah, she ends up helping 3 other couples get together while she arranges her own marriage at the same time. And yeah, I don't know, she's a widow. She's a widow and she's sick of being a widow. So this is her moment to kind of, as she calls it, rejoin the human race and find a new partner for herself at the same time.
So how does your character come into play then with her matchmaking? And
I am her biggest client. I'm the well-known half-a-millionaire. And she decides, and she states at the beginning, she's going to marry me for my money. I don't even know this because she's supposed to be setting me up with someone else, but she has just decided that she needs to take me in hand. Because Dolly's character is, I even say it, she wants to run everything, but she is a liberated woman before the term existed. That's the whole point, is that she controls everything because she's the smartest person in the room at all times, is Dolly Levi. And Horace may be the only one that gives her any run for the money, but it's not really a race. She still wins. So.
She's tricky.
Well, you just came off 9 to 5, written by Dolly Parton, and that was kind of about women finding their strength. And then now you're doing a show called Hello, Dolly, about a strong woman. What's that like, and is there any difference between the 2 shows? Or?
Yeah, similarities and differences. And I played Violet in 9 to 5, who was this very strong widow who found a new love, and so I'm finding very many similarities between the 2 characters. But yeah, just speaking from kind of that feminist point of view, like Bob said, kind of even before women's suffrage, we're talking, so it's exciting to think about this time in the 1890s-ish when there could have existed this woman who just managed everything around her, and a reality for a widow in that age too would have been that she doesn't have any income, and so she's, as she says in one of her monologues, she's tired of living from hand to mouth, and there really aren't opportunities for her, and the one job or opportunity she can find is to marry this rich man, and what she wants to do is take his money and spread it around and do good in the world. So it's not necessarily that she just wants to be lavish and have all these things. She wants to help the world with his money because she sees that he's just sitting on the big pile, and she's not happy with that. So yeah, the kind of feminism bent has been really fun for me this season to just play these strong women.
Well, what do you think your character just sits on his money? Have you created a backstory, or is there a backstory to that? Or
I think it appears he does. I think he's extremely good at making money, and he's very smart at managing money. But at the end, one of the things is it comes out that he does like to help people out. It's just that he's not. Dolly is bigger than life. She's very gregarious, and Horace is the guy who would sit at home and have a sandwich when he could afford to go to the most expensive restaurant. And he will go to that restaurant, and he could buy the restaurant, but he's going to complain about the prices because he's very frugal. He's a frugal person, and it doesn't necessarily mean that he's got a closed heart.
Miser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's extremely frugal, and she's going to slap him out of that. And it's really a good mix. I think that the personalities, I always feel that later on, there's a great story that they could have done a sequel.
There you go. That would be interesting.
Hello, Dolly. Goodbye, Dolly.
Yeah. Oh.
Would have been Goodbye, Horace.
Goodbye. We kind of mentioned the music a little bit. Is all the music pretty fun and exciting? Like, hello, Dolly. I mean, is it all kind of? I mean.
Yeah. So much ensemble dancing as well. As always at the Wagon Wheel, but these kids are, and these young adults, these amazing ensemble members are doing some really cool, amazing things. But yeah, there are some ballads too, like Bob said, some tear jerkers, and kind of just the songs that get to the truth of the character, where they get to just kind of tell where they're at that moment. But then, some really exciting songs too.
One of my wife's favorites is Before the Parade Passes By.
Sure.
Beautiful song. It's, there's so many titles in there that you don't realize you know them until you start hearing the song. You go, oh, yeah.
Right, you've heard Barbara Streisand sing it, or you heard...
Yeah, I mean, Dolly, of course, will always be from my generation. I grew up seeing Louis Armstrong sing it all the time.
There you go,
And that's why in the movie they actually rewrote the story a little bit so that he could be in the movie and sing it. But there's other songs in there that it is so powerful and strong. It's very fun.
Have you guys worked as leads before in the show here, or have you not? And how is it having worked together before? Does that make it easier to do these roles, or?
Sure. Well, we did get the chance to work together last Christmas in Oliver. But that was
That's the first time we actually worked
our only
together.
time working
We knew
together.
each other, but we just hadn't worked together.
And we've each played main-ish roles throughout a Wagon Wheel history, off and on. So so it's really nice to get the opportunity to work closer with Bob, and
Having a lot of fun.
yeah.
I just feel older because every year the leading women get younger.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is a period piece, right? When is it set? And talk maybe a little about the costumes for the piece.
Yeah. So 1890s is kind of when it's set in New York, between Yonkers and New York City is kind of where we are. The costumes are beautiful, and of course, Stephen Hollenbeck has taken it upon himself to build, all the ensembles costumes. He's built, I think, 2 for me. He's just remarkable. That team, and Julie and Sandal and Jill, they're all amazing. So
it's also a great time design-wise because that period was very colorful. They did things with color that now we consider gauche, but in that time period, it's always like, instead of a 3-color palette, they'd have a 7-color palette.
Right.
And they'd all be bright fluorescent colors. The clothing, if you look at the Victorian, was when they did all that like gingerbread stuff with each thing on the spindle was a different color. So it's really cool. Stephen's really getting a lot of that into the costumes. It's kind of fun to see how bright and sumptuous his color choices
Which
are.
also translates, obviously, to Jen Dow's amazing wigs. So she styles all the wigs for every member of the ensemble. And to get that period updo look she's so talented. And these guys are kind of having to manipulate their hair in the
I still have to get the sideburns
late
to get the
19th
haircut.
century way. So it's really fun to, especially after doing Shrek and the 9 to 5, so modern plays. It's really fun to go back in time and create something a little more period.
Shrek was a kid's show. 9 to 5 was, we discussed PG-13. So where would this fit in the whole spectrum as far as family?
This is family entertainment.
Yeah, this is G. This is you won't be offended. But with some adult humor, not adult humor, but like humor geared toward
A lot of relationship humor.
married-
There's going to be a lot of stuff that the
married
kids won't
jokes.
necessarily get, but the married adults will.
Yeah.
Find just hysterically funny.
Yeah.
They're just like such great comic moments about marriage and everything else.
Yeah,
But
it's like a great Disney movie that has those few gems for the older audience, and then the young kids will just be in awe of the beautiful things happening.
And like you said, it was featured in Wall-E, so kids still might recognize it. And okay, anything else about this particular production that people want to look out for, or that be worth noting, or?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of great, as you were saying earlier, young talent in this
Yes.
that are playing. I mean, we are the two leads, although nowhere near it is Hello, Dolly. But I mean, our Barnaby and Cornelius, it's Barnabas if you fuse them together. They are both hilarious, Kevin and Rob, and then our Molly and Minnie, which is Colleen is Minnie, and Lauren is Irene Malloy.
Yep.
I said Molly.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
But they all have songs of their own, and they all do great performances. And there's lots of great little characters that show up. But it's a lot of fun to see the energy of this show, because this show is all about driving through and getting energy.
Yeah, and this ensemble, that tracks through these 6 shows or so, is so great because they take it upon, they're such professionals, and they take it upon themselves to each time bring in a fully fledged character to the 3 ensemble numbers they're in, and you can see that. You can see the difference between, they're not just doing the steps that they were given, like they have life and breath in what they're doing, and it's awesome to watch.
Okay, cool. Well, I know you're all the shows except The Wedding Singer, correct?
Oh, I was just in 9 to 5 Hello Dolly and then The Nerd. Those are my 3.
Those are 3. And Rob, are you just for the show? Or what?
Just this one.
Just this one. So if your fans want to see you, they've got to come to the show.
Yes, this is it. If you want to see the old guy, this is the one.
Okay.
Who knows what's in the future? So
Yeah. Great. Any last words or thoughts?
Come see Hello Dolly.
yeah,
Hope you like it.
bring the whole family.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, David.